Hello, and welcome back to the Illegal Pancakes podcast. So we kind of bit off a bit more than we could chew with our last series of 2021 and review videos, and we kind of had to take a bit of a break between recording sessions. It is now a week later. I kind of have a bit of a cold. Yeah. But anyway, so fortunately this time we are able to have our frequent guest, Greg, to join us here. I haven't apologized to him yet for, making fun of him for not being able to make it to the last one. So I apologize, Greg. Thanks for coming this time. I also apologize for giving you a crap for not leaving likes on our videos. And,
no big deal. I just skipped the podcast to go eat dinner with my wife, and so that was kind of lame, but also it was really tasty. Longhorn Steakhouse, I recommend it.
Alrighty. So anyway, we're gonna give him a couple minutes here to talk about a movie, a show, and a game that he liked. Actually, you said you didn't have a movie, but either way, well, we'll give you the floor.
Actually,
then.
I did have a movie I wanted to talk about because I don't know that either of you guys saw Dune.
Correct.
I did not.
Or June, however you say that.
Yeah, I had all intentions of seeing Dune, and then I started reading the book, and I was like, oh, maybe I should finish this. And it's a long book, but I'm getting through.
It's a long movie, too. Could have been longer, in my opinion, though. I loved it. I am, admittedly, a huge fan of Denis Villeneuve, if that's how you say his name. And it's very in line with the other movies of his that I've seen.
Who is that? Was he the younger guy?
No, he's the director.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, he did Blade Runner 2049. He did Arrival. He did that short film of all the rich dudes eating and then falling through the floor. I actually didn't care for that one. Excuse me. Edit that out. Anyway, fantastic movie. Ton of information, but I thought they presented it at a decent pace without overwhelming the audience. The soundtrack is out of this world in borderline a literal sense. Half of it doesn't sound like music, and it's just there to establish a tone, which I thought was a really bold choice, and I think works really well.
Did you
action? Oh, sorry.
Did you see it in theaters or did you stream it?
I saw it in theaters.
Okay, yeah, I heard that the soundtrack was the reason to see it in theaters, unless you have a really good sound system.
That would make sense to me. I also thought the visuals were benefited by the big screen. There's a massive action sequence halfway through the film, and because it's such a slow movie the rest of the time, the action scene really, really pops. It's very intense and visceral. And actually, on that note, it's PG-13. Like Lord of the Rings, they do a good job of towing that line. And unlike Lord of the Rings, they make you feel any on-screen deaths. Like, anytime somebody stabs somebody, the sound design and everything's there. So it's not visually graphic, but you feel the weight of that person's death. And I thought that was a really cool way to, they're condemning the violence, but portraying it as necessary. Like, Duncan Idaho is killing people not because he wants to, but because he's a good soldier and that's what he has to do. But despite that, every death has a weight to it, and I really like that. It's not like your Marvel or Star Wars movies where they're just gunning down all the bad guys and whooping and hollering. And then the climax of the movie, and I don't want to talk about it too much, but it ends on it's a conflict, but it's a very small-scale conflict with more emotional stakes than it is, Save the Universe stakes. And so it's cool that you've got this massive action sequence halfway through the film, and then a very, very intense personal action sequence to end the movie on. But cool. 10 out of 10. I loved it.
Alright.
As far as TV shows go, I don't want to take up too much time. I watched The Good Place for the first time this year, which I thought was a very entertaining show, with some fun philosophy behind it. And then I was a big fan of the Marvel shows, Loki in particular. Loki I thought was just absolutely incredible. It held my attention the whole way through, even though most of the show is like 2 or 3 people sitting in a room talking to each other. It's all about these interpersonal relationships and dynamics and stuff, and how different characters pull out different aspects of different people, right? And you get to watch these people grow together in really weird situations. It's this weird 1970s office building in the middle of nowhere. And by nowhere, I mean like literally nowhere. There's bureaucrats with transcripts of every word you've ever said. There's like metal detectors that will disintegrate you if you're a robot. But only if you don't know you're a robot. It's great. So, again, don't want to talk about it too much because I think the best points of it are kind of spoilers, but fantastic.
Yeah, that was one that I thought about watching, but I don't know, like I'm not the biggest like fan of like Loki as a character. I mean, I do enjoy Tom Hiddleston's portrayal of him, but like I don't know. Like that was one of the shows I was going to try to check out since that was the one that everybody was saying, "Oh yeah, this is a masterpiece," but I don't know. Well, part of the problem is I don't have Disney Plus.
That makes it difficult, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but, one more note on it. Probably has the best score out of any Marvel media to date.
Ooh, you think so?
I think so. With the possible exception of like Infinity War and Endgame, but Alan Silvestri was, working on 10 years worth of music there.
Yeah.
Natalie
the show picks a lot of weird songs. Like, if there's one thing that show does really well, it's end an episode. Every single ending of the episodes, you're just like, dang.
Yep. And every time I was left humming the soundtrack for the rest of the day, which just isn't the case with most Marvel properties.
Yeah, that's true.
She took a lot of inspiration from Wagner, who, if you don't know who he was a Nazi before the Nazis were a thing, but he wrote Flight of the Valkyries and other like really, really cool music, and she takes a lot of inspiration from that. She actually works Flight of the Valkyrie into a song at one point in a really powerful way. So yeah, I really liked that. And then finally for games, I think you guys have already covered the Quake Remaster and the new levels added onto Halo 3 this year. Those were both the big things for me. I'd never been able to get into Quake before. Setting up the source ports was jankier than it is with like Doom. The gameplay is slower than Doom, but not in the way that sounds, because you're still running around and stuff. But I had a hard time with the weapon balance for a long time. The remaster made the game accessible enough that I was able to play it until like it clicked and I started having a lot of fun.
Yep, that's the cool thing about it, is it just makes everything easier.
Yeah. The soundtrack was always the big problem for me, like getting it to run, and once I did, like trying to figure out how to get it to work for the expansion packs, I don't know. It just was a headache, a bit of a headache.
I literally thought that like 9 Inch Nails and it had like a falling out, and that the game just didn't come with the soundtrack, but apparently not, because it does play the music now.
Well, no, it was because it was actually on the CD and it would run like in the drive. Yeah.
Okay.
While you were playing.
That's
the game.
how they used to do. That's how they used to do music back in the day, because your computer wasn't capable of playing the music well enough or something, or the game engines weren't. But if you could just have it read it right off a CD, then it wasn't a problem.
That makes a lot of sense, because when I was playing Half-Life in high school, it kept playing music.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah, it kept playing music off the CD I had in the disk drive.
Yep.
Alrighty.
GC Doom, you can actually program to do that too. You can set it up in map info so that it'll just read music off whatever CD the player has in their disk drive.
Yeah, because I think GZ Doom has a lot of Quake DNA in it.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, now we're going to move on to books and comics. Robbie, would you like to start?
Yeah, I'll start. So I have to make a confession. I didn't read a ton of books and comics. I read a bunch, like in the first quarter of the year, and then I don't know if I did anything at all. I mean, I said I started reading Dune, but I started like pretty close to the end of the year. But I think for the best, this isn't a comic. I've read basically only Star Wars stuff this year. Most of them were comments that people were leaving on the Clone Wars video about like, oh, well, you have to read this comic to understand something. And then I would read it and be like, okay, I read it, this is what I thought about it, which was, pretty cool. The main one was called Son of Dathomir, which is a Darth Maul story. And I swore up and down that this comic was not based off Clone Wars episodes that didn't get made. But now that I've read it, I kind of think it is. Do you want to know why? That wasn't rhetorical, but anyways.
Because it's not good?
Because Darth Maul gets his butt kicked in every issue.
It reminds me of something
just Darth Maul getting trashed by General Grievous, and then Count Dooku, and then like... obviously, this comic isn't canon anymore because of Solo, but in the comic, he loses control of his whole criminal organization just because none of them like him because he sucks. And like, he gets his whole tribe murdered at one point, and I'm just like, okay, maybe this was... maybe this was really going to be some Clone Wars stuff. But the worst comic... I'll tell you the worst one I read, and then the best thing. The worst I read was I started reading... I don't even know what it's called, but it's... I think it's called Star Wars Visions or something, but it's based off George Lucas's original screenplay for Episode 4. So this is the version of Luke Skywalker that you've seen, like the concept art with the beard, where he's a general and stuff like that. And it's Luke Skywalker training Anakin's Star Killer and all this stuff. And I really, really hated it. I didn't finish it, but it was just everything I hate about the Star Wars prequels, which is just boring politics and these unlikable characters, and just it was bad. Like, it's a good thing that we got the version of Star Wars we have, because this other one low-key kind of sucked. I mean, it was still cool to see like what stuff inspired other things, like the hover tanks from Episode 1 are being used by the Empire, and it says that like, oh, George Lucas always wanted to use some type of hovering tank in Star Wars, but he just didn't have the budget for it until Episode 1 and stuff like that, which, that's pretty cool. But it's not a good read. It's an interesting read, but it was really hard to get into.
Okay.
Yeah. But for an actually good Star Wars book, I finally read Heir to the Empire, which is the first in the Thrawn trilogy of books.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It wasn't quite what I expected, and from what I understand, it's mostly a book that's setting stuff up. But it's it is what it is. It's the gang is out there in space doing their own shenanigans, and then there's Grand Admiral Thrawn of the Empire, who's he's doing his thing too, and
being a blue guy.
Yeah, being a blue guy. Lots of cool stuff in it, but the one thing that it kind of made me realize that maybe my opinion on this will change once I read the other two books, but it looks like with the Star Wars TV shows, they're trying to set up a Heir to the Empire type story. What's it called? The Mandalorian Season 2, Ahsoka says that she's looking for Admiral Thrawn.
Well, yeah, they've already cast them, haven't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Mads Mikkelsen's brother.
Yep, and you've got, what's that guy's name? The bad guy.
General...
Gus from Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah, Grand Moff Gideon.
Anyway, that guy. Yeah, him. He's like setting up the Empire again and stuff, right? And that,
yeah,
in my opinion, is a pretty clear parallel to the Thrawn trilogy, where the Empire's been defeated for a long time and suddenly resurges. And that's kind of what you're seeing happen in Clone Wars.
Yeah, and then the ending of the Bad Batch, they go to, what is the name of the planet? I want to say Chimera, but I don't think that's right. But they go to the planet where Jedi Master Sabaoth is at, and so they're setting stuff up there. Yeah. So, like, they're slowly building up to it, but, like, after reading it, I don't really know how you can do it. I mean, the whole, like, Heir to the Empire isn't referring to Admiral Thrawn, which I always thought it was. it's referring to Princess Leia and stuff like that. It just, I don't know how they can pull it off, and they probably won't try to. You know, I mean, like the Han Solo movie doesn't really follow the Han Solo books at all, though it has a little bit from it. But you know, like, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
That's my expectation, is they're not going to try to adapt them, but rather take inspiration from them. Mm-hmm. Like, you've got, like, the Space Trooper or Zero-G Trooper or whatever at the end of that book. Probably going to swap that out for Dark Troopers if they have anything similar to that, right? Mm-hmm. But they're going to have to shift the focus away from Luke, Han, and Leia, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and I'd be shocked if they brought Mara Jade in.
Yeah, yeah. Dang.
I think they're going to take it and use it to set up, like, to explain the organization of the First Order, where Thrawn's new empire that he's organizing, he winds up dying, but it turns into the First Order.
Oh, that would make sense. That could be interesting. It's too bad, though, because, like, Mara Jade, I don't know how you say it, and, like, Talon Card were both, like, really cool characters, and it'd be cool to see them done if they're done properly, you know. But I don't know. I don't have enough faith in Star Wars right now to see that stuff done well.
Keyword is properly, and then I guess done well.
Yeah.
Well, I think the problem both of them have is they aren't in the Clone Wars, and so.
That's
true.
Okay.
Yeah, that would.
Dave Filoni's not going to cross them over. You know, he might fill in their roles, but I bet you he's going to do it with pre-existing characters that he created.
Mm-hmm.
Rough.
Some people are saying that Kira is going to be the new Mara Jade.
I could get behind that.
Yeah, it'd be really weird if, like, Han Solo stole Luke's girlfriend, so then Luke was like, you know what, I'm going to steal your girlfriend, who's probably like 8 years older than me.
Yeah, the actress isn't old enough to play her at that age, I think, is the problem. Emilia Clarke. Despite her doing a good job, I don't think that would work.
Yeah. And there's been some rumors coming out recently that she said that she's coming back to Star Wars, but I won't believe it till I see it, just because I feel like Disney's trying to stay away from Solo right now.
I was going to say that I think there's a good chance she'll come back in Kenobi, but seeing as they're setting Obi-Wan to fight up Anakin again, I don't think they're going to drag Darth Maul into it.
Well, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. So in the last episode of, what's it called? Last episode of Boba Fett, the Pikes show up, and the leader of them is wearing the Crimson Dawn logo. So, who knows? Maybe not.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But that's my book recap.
Holy crap! So that was like 2 or 3 in one.
Yeah.
You got any others?
No.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I already said some stuff about Dune. It's good.
Yeah. All right. What about you, Greg? I got a couple.
Man,
they're kind of long though.
Get ready to get underwhelmed here. I have read like 80 pages of a book this year. Yep. I am reading the Mistborn trilogy for the first time by Brandon Sanderson, but I am doing it very, very, very slowly. So far, though, the first book has been really good. Fantastic world building. He's got compelling characters. The magic system is really interesting. Are you guys familiar with this series at all?
No, it sounds vaguely familiar. Yeah.
So the author. Have you guys seen the Wheel of Time show on Amazon?
Oh, I've heard of that.
I started it on Amazon Prime and I fell asleep because it was really boring.
Yeah, I've heard good things about the books.
Yeah, it's a massive book series. The author died before he was able to complete it.
Right.
And his wife had Brandon Sanderson, the author of Mistborn, actually finish the series for him.
Okay.
He took all the author's notes and stuff and then emulated the guy's tone and then finished out the franchise. But he was a big author before that. He's actually adjunct faculty at BYU. But I think Mistborn's his best known book. The other series he does that's really popular, I think, is called Way of Kings. Anyway, Mistborn, you've got like this evil empire thing that's existed for 1,000 years, and the emperor of it, he's called like the Lord Ruler, I think, is immortal and unkillable, and he keeps most of the people enslaved, and then he's got this like nobility class that wars against each other. In this world, there is a form of magic where if like certain people have the ability where if they ingest a specific type of metal, it will give them a specific power. I think iron, if you ingest iron, you can burn it within you and it'll make you stronger for a period. But you have to save that strength up. And so like you spend like a period of time being super, super weak, and then you can use that energy later to be really strong. And a Mistborn is somebody who can do all of the metallurgic powers as opposed to just having one of them. And so like with one of them you can push people, the other you can pull stuff towards you. You can make yourself stronger, you can make yourself faster. And so you've got this guy who he's trying to overthrow the Lord Ruler, who's also a Mistborn. And so he's organizing this band of people to go in and assassinate him. And the main character is this little thief girl who lives on the streets, who the other Mistborn, his name's Kelsier, finds her and realizes that she's got this ability too, so he like gets her to join their band. And that's really as far as I am. But there's the one action sequence I've read so far is him breaking into this castle to steal something, and it's really cool how he's using all these different metal properties at different times. Because I think that pushing and pulling, actually, it's only with specific metals. So he's got like a coin, and to like throw the coin on the ground, drop off a giant distance, and then push himself off that coin to slow his descent, or like change direction in midair or whatever. And then he can throw that coin at people to kill people. And yeah, it's cool.
Alrighty. Oh boy. So yeah, my list of stuff's kind of long. I'll rock it through the brief mentions real quick and then get into the meat. Okay, so I started collecting Punisher comic books. Mainly the old ones. So far I got like an issue from Year 1, Armory, Warzone, and then there's this one called Punisher Magazine, which is really, really weird. It's just like an enlarged, like black and white reprint of like I think it's only like 2 stories in each issue, but apparently ran for a while, and it was kind of weird finding that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm probably not gonna look for like the more recent stuff. Probably just limit myself to the like volumes 1 and 2 and then like Warzone and then War Journal maybe. So I think those are gonna be easier to find, and then I don't know. I did read some new Junji Ito. There was a collection that I think came out. It was either late 2020 or early 2021 called Love Sickness. It was pretty good. It had one of the better stories from the Junji Ito collection anime. And it was nice actually reading it, because the anime didn't actually cover the entirety of the story, because it's like 4 or 5 chapters long, and they kind of cut it in the middle. And it's a pretty messed up story. I'd recommend it. And then they threw in some random like other stories on the end that weren't really related to it, that weren't as good, but I don't know, I think it's just worth it for the, the Love Sickness ones. And then I finally read all of Lord of the Rings, including The Hobbit.
Oh, nice. Actually, I didn't mention this. I read a bunch of Lord of the Rings, but I haven't finished it yet. But yeah, and like the interesting thing about that is because I also finally saw the extended versions of the films. Like I got them for Christmas in 2020, and then I watched them, of course, and like almost all the way through within the following week. And I watched them again this past Christmas, and just like noticing
like all the differences. Like there's some
it's interesting what they've added and what they've like taken away and stuff. Like
yeah, like the little things that they choose to add, but then the big things that they leave out. It's kind of crazy. Like especially with Fellowship, how it's like 30 years before they actually like head out between like Bilbo's birthday and then when Frodo actually departs from the Shire or whatever.
They spend all this time talking about Frodo's family and all the disputes they have over the land and stuff, and then he leaves the Shire and you just never hear about them again.
Yeah.
And then Frodo and Sam have those two other friends that they don't even go on the Fellowship with them. They just stay at home.
Like, what did you think of the extended in relation to the regular ones?
It's been a long time since I've seen the regular ones all the way through. Part of the problem is because my parents have Fellowship and Two Towers on VHS, and a lot of our VCRs have just crapped out. And it's just easier to like, I got the Blu-ray set for Christmas, and just throw in the Blu-ray for extended.
That makes sense.
But
my opinion, and I'm in the minority here, but I believe theatrical is still the definitive way to watch them. And I think Fellowship and Return of the King are improved extended, but I think Two Towers actually suffers from the extended version. But if I'm going to show somebody them for the first time, I'm absolutely going to go with the theatrical. Extended is just, it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless they were like prepped for it. It's like, hey, this is going to take a long time. Yeah.
But even then, if you aren't familiar with it at all, like, I don't know, the scene at the tree where they're, the tree. That's in the elf, the like wood elf village in the first one. There's a really good scene of Boromir where we get to know who he is a lot better. That's not in the original. But like, if I don't know who Boromir is, why would I care? But you watch the extended, and Boromir's kind of a jerk, and then he dies. Or the original, he's kind of a jerk, and then he dies. And then you watch the extended, and you're like, oh, this is what was going on there.
Yeah, I think there are, like, this is really hard to comment on since, like I said, I haven't seen the theatrical cuts in a while, but I think they add a lot of little things to the movies that you're probably not gonna, like, understand unless you've seen the books. Like, they kind of show up for half a minute. Because, with the book, they have time to, like, comment on it, like, what it is and such. Like, I think a good example of that in Two Towers is when they're... Oh, what area is that in? It's, like, the area that they're in right before they run into Faramir. Where they pass that statue that's, like, decapitated. It has that really rough-looking head thrown on top of it, and then they have the original head with like the crown of flowers around it. Yeah, they just kind of like glance at that real quick in the movie and don't really explain what it is, but in the book they do. It just probably, I don't know, it seemed like something kind of weird. And then with the Ent wash that Merry and Pippin drink and they like grow, that's kind of explained a bit better. And
I thought every added scene with Treebeard in was to the movie's detriment.
Don't be hasty. Oh my god. Yeah. But yeah, no, one thing that I find really freaking hilarious is that the books are longer, starting with Fellowship, and then like Return of the King's the shortest, but it's the opposite way around with the movies, especially the extended cuts. It's like I don't know. The Hobbit's actually rather short.
3
it's the
is
shortest
massive.
one. Yeah, it's a massive film. It's like 4 hours plus. Yeah. And the funny thing about it is that, like, I know for the book that, like, it ends rather quickly. Like, a large part of it is just, like, finishing up the story and whatnot. And then, oh crap, I forgot about the Scouring of the Shire. That was one big thing that they left out that I kind of wish they would have included. Even though it, like, kind of makes for a messier ending, I guess. With the
I was
way
gonna
they
say,
set
I
it up in the
don't know
films.
how that would fit in the movie.
Yeah, it really wouldn't. Just with the way everything was set up and with how they offed Saruman and the start of Return of the King.
Yep.
Yeah. Crazy.
Do you know have you seen the interviews about the scene where he gets stabbed in the back?
Yeah, I'm the one that showed them to you, right?
Oh, maybe. Okay.
I'm pretty sure, because remember Brad Dourif's like, you should see how I handle a 357 Magnum.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's right. You did show me those. Well, never mind. I'm not going to blow your mind with anything, because you blew mine with them years ago. Oh.
Right. So yeah, those are pretty, it was fun to read those, and then, see how they, where they followed the books, and, or no, where the movies followed the books, and, you know, where they kind of didn't. I haven't watched any of the Hobbit films in, like, 5 or so years, so, but even then,
Pretty sure they didn't ever make any Hobbit movies.
Oh yeah, right, they didn't.
I think it's funny because I was like the biggest defender of the Hobbit movies, and I still haven't seen the third one.
Just read the last 50 pages of the book, and then that covers it. It abridges it, actually. You don't have to waste your time on a 3-hour movie.
I even looked up some of the clips of it, just random clips, and like the freaking wereworms show up, like the Mongolian death worms in the book. I was like, okay. Pretty sure those weren't in there.
Yeah, because, like, I guess this isn't really much of a spoiler, but because of how long the book's been out, but, like, Bilbo gets, like, knocked out within, like, the first 10 minutes of the battle, and then it's, like, over, and then he wakes up, when it's over, and he, like, finds out Thorin and those other two dwarves have died, and, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's how movies are. Like,
and, like, you only get introduced to Bard, like, in like the last 50 pages, and then like within like 3 of those pages he like kills Smaug. It should have been one film. They should have condensed it. Yeah.
I've seen a little bit of the third one. I saw the first one, I've seen part of the third one. And I saw the part that everybody hates, where Legolas is jumping off the bricks as the bridge is collapsing. And everybody told me how dumb that scene is, and I watched it. I'm like, this is not the problem with this movie, guys. Like, he's an elf. He's magic. He walks on top of snow when everybody else is waist deep in it. That's not possible either. The problem is that this is a 3-hour fight scene that doesn't matter.
Oh, fun stuff.
Okay, so
One last thing I'd like to add is it's a YouTube channel. It's called Nerd of the Ring, and it's just some dude that makes videos that breaks down just everything in Middle Earth. And I thought it was all just stuff from the Silmarillion, but apparently not. Like, he talks about just all of the history and just all of the characters in the different areas, and it's a really cool channel to watch. Like, he has like a 4-part series that just talks about Sauron's life and stuff like that. It's just pretty fun.
Neat. Okay, I guess moving on.
Interesting.
Yeah, there are plenty of like Lord of the Rings channels. I guess I never really checked any of them out. I get recommended them every now and then. I was watching stuff on like, you know, the upcoming Amazon series, which is Lord of the Rings in quotation marks. Since it covers the Silmarillion, and it's going to be a complete bastardization of everything.
Lord of the Thrones.
Yeah. So we mentioned this.
Game of Rings.
No. So we mentioned this at during our Halloween recommendations video, but I read quite a bit of Lovecraft this past year. I got one of the big like. It says it's the complete fiction. From Barnes & Noble, but that is actually pretty inaccurate because it doesn't have any of his novellas or any of the stuff he edited or wrote. It's just mostly his gotcha. Like, you know, short stories, and I think there's they call it juvenilia. I'm not sure what that is, if it's stuff that he wrote, if it's like discarded stuff or what, but I don't know. I got about maybe not even a quarter of the way into the book, and the thing that surprised me the most is that I know a lot of people think of Lovecraft as like a horror writer, but most of his stories are like fall more broadly under a genre called weird fiction. That can include, you know, more mundane stuff, like not necessarily stuff dealing with supernatural horror or whatnot. And surprisingly, he wrote a couple of like almost like comedic stories that are kind of weird.
Oh, interesting.
Like yeah, like one. The best example of that is like it's called Sweet Ermengarde, I think. Really weird name. I mean, it's not like funny in the modern sense, but it's definitely, you know, not serious like, you know, a book like, or like a story like Rats in the Walls or anything grim like that. But then he also has like a lot of other like more fantasy-esque stories. With a lot of weird names of weird cities and stuff that are kind of neat. Very, very dreamlike. Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend like hunting down like a copy of like all the stories together, because you probably find most of these online for free. But if you're like me and you like print, it's not a bad way to go.
It's not a bad little book to have on your shelf. If you have
it's not a little book. It's not a little book at all.
Yeah,
it's
true.
Brick. But and then
whoever's
kind of
typing, we can hear that.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
But speaking of kind of weird fiction, so I've been watching I was watching a lot of Sandy Peterson's channel. In one of his videos, he talks about Heir the Unspeakable and how it relates to a series of a book of short stories by Robert Chambers called The King in Yellow. And I hunted down that book, and
what is it?
So so within the context of the stories, The King in Yellow is a play, which it's not really described in detail. Like, you only get a couple snippets of like dialogue or whatnot from it, but you get the idea that like it's kind of like the Necronomicon. So like whoever reads it usually descends into madness, and it's often like a, you know, pretty big plot device in each of the stories that it appears in. And it's like, you know, banned worldwide or whatnot by like governments and by, you know, religious institutions. But only 4 of the 10 stories actually involve the King in Yellow at all, like the play or whatnot. And I think some of the collected editions will only include those 4 stories. So you're probably just better off just like looking for those. But I think they're pretty interesting. Particularly, let's see, the first and the fourth. The first kind of like does this weird unreliable narrator type thing that kind of screwed with me because I was reading it too late at night. I was kind of going along with it too much, which it's a real problem for me. Like I've been noticing, it's like I'm reading it, it's like, okay, guy, you do you're a champ. Then having to read the same paragraph over again because I kind of fell asleep in the middle of it. But but yeah, and then the fourth one is called The Yellow Sign. And like, you know, when you're reading these, you can, especially The Yellow Sign, you can see a lot of the influence that Lovecraft got from these stories. And he actually included like, I guess the King in Yellow concept, and particularly Heir, which both come from these stories, were brought into the Cthulhu mythos.
I was gonna say, I remember the King in Yellow as a character in Sandy Peterson's Cthulhu Wars.
Yeah, he serves kind of as a avatar for Heir. And the weird thing about Heister is that Heister is made out to be a place in the King in Yellow stories, as opposed to, you know, like I think he's an outer god in the Cthulhu mythos. But I don't know. But yeah, like he's definitely appeared in, you know, like Sandy Peterson's Call of Cthulhu stuff and whatnot. Cthulhu Wars.
That's cool. It's cool that there's these little, like, stories that, like, at the time, like, Lovecraft stuff was just seen as, like, cheap pulp short stories, you know, like these books that were just didn't mean anything, and that we're talking about them still today, you know.
Yeah, and even like Robert Chambers stuff, like he, like this was the only thing he did that fell within this this genre. He was more known for like writing romances, which the like second half of The King in Yellow is just pretty much like a bunch of, you know, I guess a couple of them are kind of weird, but they're like mostly romances that have nothing to do with The King in Yellow. They're just kind of thrown in there, so I can see why they get left out of some of the collected editions. I don't know, the fifth story in the book's pretty decent for a romance that's actually also a weird supernatural story called like the Demoiselle de Is or something else hard to pronounce and very, very French sounding. Yeah. Yeah, definitely worth hunting down. Maybe. But yeah, just like kind of read Amazon reviews or reviews of wherever you buy the book from, if you really want to have all 10 stories, because, you know, not all editions will have it. And then finally, I started reading the manga Berserk. Have either of you heard of that before?
I have not.
I've heard about it in passing. Like, I know it exists. I know that a lot of people get pissed off at the anime. And it's, if I had to guess, just based off what I've seen online, it's something about like a knight, and it's like pretty violent as well.
Yeah, let's just say, with a title like Berserk, it is a very fitting name. It is a very fitting title. Maybe not entirely fitting. So pretty much the basic premise of it is it's about this swordsman named Guts who fights these like demon people called apostles, who serve this like group of powerful beings called the God Hand. So actually, they're kind of a lot like the Cenobites from
Hellraiser.
Like, yeah, they were inspired by them. And one of them in particular was a friend of his named Griffith, who was a leader of a mercenary band which Guts joined. And yeah. I don't know. Like, I've read quite a bit of it, and I'm kind of trying to think about what to, talk about with it. But that's the basic idea. He fights these these demonic, beings. Kind of on, a quest for revenge type deal. And like Robbie said, it is very, very violent, almost laughably so. Maybe that's just me. But, yeah. It's also a very, very mature manga. It is one of the few things that I've read that I would say is for, late teens and adults only. A lot of people refer to it as the Game of Thrones of manga, which I kind of cringe at, but it's pretty explanatory, I guess. And also the art is freaking fantastic. Top notch.
Sick.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the creator of it, the author of it, died this past year. Right as I was getting into it.
Rest rest in peace, but also, wow, convenient.
Yeah. Which, Greg, did me or Robbie ever show you that Snapchat that I sent Robbie after that news came up?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, well, the basic gist of it was, oh my, let me find that real quick. So I have this weird theory that it seems like with a lot of, like, series or, like, games or stuff that I get into, like, something bad usually happens to them, like, soon after I start, like, enjoying them. Like, it happened, it didn't really happen with Doom. It happened with Metal Gear Solid, Hideo Kojima was kind of forced out of Konami soon after I got into it. Castlevania also had something similar happen to it. With this, the creator died. Just very, very rough. And then, like, I don't know. The most extreme example was I listened to a song by DMX. And I was like, oh, hey, this is pretty cool. And then 2 weeks later, he dies of, like, a heart attack. So, I don't know. I think Doom might be getting the frog and the what do you call that? The slow boil treatment.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with Ancient Gods.
Oh, man, we're going to talk about that.
That's more of a flambe. But yeah, no, if I find that Snapchat, we'll have to throw that up there, because it's pretty hilarious. So yeah, I apologize for Berserk not being able to be finished, even though apparently a lot of people have come to peace with that. I don't really apologize for what happened with Hideo Kojima, because then he made Death Stranding, which looks like garbage. And something's happening with Castlevania. I'm not quite sure what.
You're making a pinball machine or something.
You're making a pinball machine?
No, for their anniversary, they released a bunch of NFTs. They're like, to celebrate Castlevania's birthday, you can now buy these PNGs off of us.
For how much?
Okay,
probably a lot.
I'm gonna be all edgy here. What the frick is an NFT, and why are people stupid enough to buy them?
You're not being edgy. We agree with you.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm joking. I was like, most people there's two camps on the internet: the people who are obsessed with them and the people who are calling them retarded. And,
half the damn time, NFTs are just really shitty looking personas, like those dumbass monkey ones.
Yep. Or they're of somebody else's copyrighted IP.
No.
So I don't know if you guys heard about this. Some dude lost like $2 million worth of NFTs, and it was those monkeys that like somebody just stole them overnight. And then somebody made a Doom mod where instead of using guns, you have a camera and you just run around taking pictures of those NFTs.
Yeah, didn't you mention that in like one of the segments from last week? I'm trying to remember.
No, I might have. I know I talked to you about it last week, but I think it might have been before the podcast.
All right. Okay.
It's probably my coworker. He's all obsessed with them. First he was talking nonstop about Dogecoin, and now it's NFTs.
Well, don't let him know about Legos, because I still want to buy those.
Yeah. Okay, so, I have a couple, like, music or, like, soundtracks. I don't know if either of you did.
I've got an album.
Okay. Do you want to go right ahead with that?
Sure. I already mentioned Dune and Loki, but I want to give them another shout out because their soundtracks are great. But the new album this year that I just fell in love with was The Killer's most recent album, Pressure Machine.
Is that it's more of like a folksy type one?
Yeah, it's almost The Killers Go Country, but it's still The Killers.
Okay, yeah, I heard that got really good reviews.
Yeah, there's some like thematic, like very like country themes and stuff in there, but it's very much still the Killers. Brandon Flowers' voice has never sounded better. He sounds so good in this album. When I first listened to it, I wasn't super impressed because it is kind of a bit of a departure. And I was like, this is good, but nothing to fall in love with. I think it's probably top 3 albums of theirs for me now, though.
What would you put the other 2 as?
Battleborn is 1, then Day and Age.
Yes.
And then this one.
Okay. Yeah, because I kind of started listening to Day and Age again this past year, and I was like, oh, this is actually a pretty good album.
Day and Age is a lot of fun.
Battleborn. Yeah. But anyway, go on.
That's pretty much it. There's a couple songs on there I don't love, but that's true for all of their albums. Probably my favorite part about it is it hints at some overarching stories, and you don't get the full picture. But like the first song on the album is about a dude who he winds up going to jail for using drugs. But he talks about how he married somebody and cared for her 2 kids, like they were his own.
Okay.
And then one of the later songs in the album, called "In the Car Outside," is talking about this this marital fight where the husband and the wife just aren't managing to communicate to each other at all on the same level, and he winds up hanging out with a girl that he had a thing with in high school, and he's like tempted to cheat on his wife with her, and it's kind of left ambiguous whether or not he does in that song, but he mentions that she just got divorced and she's got 2 little kids, and so presumably that girl grows up to be the one from the first song. And then that guy, the next song is called In Another Life, and it's this guy sitting in a bar like wrestling with how unhappy he is in his life and stuff, but deciding to go home at the end of it. And I think that's the sequel to the song before, so the guy doesn't give into that temptation, but they wind up going different directions. And then to finish off that little story, they tell a story about another couple where a guy does wind up cheating on his wife with another woman, and it winds up leading to murder. And so you got like, this guy's in a bad situation, and it's understandable he chooses not to. This guy didn't choose not to, and wound up costing himself everything. And there's little things like that in there. Brandon Flowers described it like he's singing about small town America and its ideals, but also the flaws that are sometimes buried on. Like you look at a small town and it looks really nice, but you don't see all the cracks. And he sings about some of those. But one of the themes of it was like, who do we withhold forgiveness from that we should be willing to forgive? Like, you look at someone and you're like, oh man, they screwed their life up because they did this and this and this. But he's like, well, you don't know what took them there and why they're like that. And maybe they're not as different from you as you think they are or whatever. And none of the themes are like mind-blowing or life-changing, but they add a layer of richness to it. And then the whole band's back together for the first time since Battleborn.
Yeah.
And so that's a big deal. And I don't know, it really grew on me.
Awesome.
Cool.
So, I guess I'll name off a couple here before Robbie goes. So, I've already mentioned the Quake vinyl, and then the need to bring Slam Bamboo to vinyl. You better be on it, Trent Reznor. You know what that is?
I have no idea what Slam Bamboo is or whatever you just said.
Okay, so before he was in Nine Inch Nails, like Trent Reznor played with a couple of like area bands, and like one of them was called Slam Bamboo. You can find like this video of like a TV appearance they did. It was in the 80s, and it's like an incredibly 80s song called House on Fire. It's actually rather catchy, but like Trent pretty much dresses the way that he kind of does now, and everybody else is just like really glammed out and like 80s looking crap. And a lot of people are saying like, oh look, the lead singer is Andy Samberg's dad. Look at him. Yeah. And then I guess I'll mention again Headless Cross by Black Sabbath, since I mentioned that at during the Halloween recommendations. Main reason I did that is because I actually wanted other people to check it out, because it's one of those albums like, hey, this is actually pretty damn good, but I don't think enough people like know about it, so I'm not sure if that's just me being crazy and like I'm in a vacuum. But I don't know, I really enjoyed it a lot. Again, like I'd say the top tracks from it for me are Black Moon, Kill in the Spirit World, Nightwing, and then Call of the Wild. Call of the Wild.
That's a Zelda game, right? Sorry,
I'll leave. Yeah, please leave. But no, Call of the Wild and Kill in the Spirit World, especially because they actually kind of remind me of Berserk a bit. Because I started reading it after I started listening to the album again. It's kind of weird. Maybe I'll make a video on it. I say that too much. Yeah. So yeah, if anyone actually checked that out, let me know. I'm actually curious to see what other people think. Mainly because it's a non-Aussie album, and it got really, really buried. And most people will just, talk about Paranoid or maybe the Ronnie James Dio albums. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember you talking about it, and I actually meant to check it out, and then I just never did. So
yeah, just look for it on YouTube, because I don't think it's on Spotify or anything like that. You definitely can't find it on iTunes. I know that for sure. Even though
really?
Yeah. Even though, well, that might have changed, but last I knew you can't buy it on iTunes. Like I said, it got buried.
Mm-hmm.
Then I guess I'll briefly mention the Mondo, Castlevania, and Silent Hill vinyl albums. I guess these have been around for several years now. So like Mondo's like a record label, and they also do some like collectibles and stuff, but they've done a bunch of vinyl albums for Konami games, and like even like some of the Metal Gear games and Contra. But I recently found quite a few of their Castlevania albums. Had to buy them on eBay and paid quite a bit for them, more than I'm.
That's eBay.
Yeah, that is eBay for you. So, like, the one thing I'll say, like, I like having these albums on like vinyl, but I just wish they would like put them back in stock on their website, because they have them up on there. They just say out of stock. I don't know how long they've been up there. It's just like, you might as well like try to bring them back in. That's really annoying, but yep. Then I guess finally I'll mention these guys. So a new band I found. Kind of early on in the year. It's called Ningen Isu. It's a Japanese power trio. They kind of do like heavy metal, kind of like progressive type stuff, like some doom metal. Don't know any bands to exactly compare them to. They're kind of like they kind of sound a bit like Black Sabbath-y, but they're Japanese, so all their lyrics are in Japanese, which is probably why a lot of people don't know about them. But they've been around since like the late '80s, and they have a really like surprisingly large discography for being practically unknown, at least in the West.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do have you can find a lot of their songs on YouTube with like English lyrics, in case you actually really want them. But like I'm mostly interested in like the music, the background music, or like the instrumentation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're pretty neat, and especially the way they dress up. Because you got the drummer who's he's got like this rockabilly like yakuza look. The bassist,
I never thought I'd heard.
Okay, it's gonna get even more absurd, so just bear with me. The bassist looks like Uncle Fester if he became too rooted in the Tao. If you know what I mean. No, I'm just kidding. He's supposed to be like a zombie Buddhist monk.
Mm-hmm.
And then
okay, your description makes sense.
Yeah. And then the lead singer slash lead guitarist, slash only guitarist, I guess, looks like the guy I would go to if I wanted to stage a rebellion against the Tokugawa shogunate.
Oh boy.
No, he's supposed to be dressed up like some like period writer. I forget what Japanese period because I'm unfamiliar with their history. But yeah, they wear this, like, these costumes. They dress up like this in all their performances. It's kind of funny. They do it in their music videos as well. And apparently a lot of their like songs and albums are like based on literature, mostly Japanese literature. Like, for instance, their band name comes from the short story The Human Chair. That's what Ningen Isu translates to. Their second album or first album, I'm not sure which one it is, Ningen Shikaku, No Longer Human, is a novel. It's another thing I read within the past year. That's a pretty messed up book. Junji Ito also did a adaptation of it in manga. Pretty neat. And he did Ningen Isu as well. Maybe I'll talk about those next Halloween. And then they've also done a song called Color Out of Space. Lovecraft.
Hey.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah,
Nicolas
definitely.
Cage.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
That was a thing.
Yeah. That was the thing. He needed money. So yeah, I recommend checking them out. They're pretty neat. Maybe not for everybody, especially since their lyrics aren't in English, but I don't know. Is that all
Unacceptable. I will only listen to music that is specifically for everybody.
Okay.
The most accessible pop garbage you can find.
I don't even know what's pop garbage right now. That's how far removed I am from the radio.
Heavy rotation radio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really have any albums or anything this year. I mean, there was a couple bands I'd listened to before that I got into. This year was kind of the year that I'd find a really cool song that I liked, and then I would look up the band, and all of their songs would be garbage except that song.
Sounds like the
Some
80s
examples?
in a nutshell.
That's true.
The most recent example, the band is called Girl in Red, and they have a song called Serotonin, which is like, it's got like a guitar solo that sounds like it's out of a U2 song. It's got like a really cool like hip hop moments to it as well, and none of their other songs have any guitar solos that sound anything like U2 or fun upbeat hip hop sounds. It's just sad, emotional piano music, and I'm like, you should listen to your music director a little more. Oh well.
Oh, real quick, I think we've already talked about this, but since we talked about the movie No Time to Die, what did you guys think of the intro song to that?
I think it was fine.
Oh man, I'm having a hard time remembering it, so that doesn't bode well for it. But
just
tell me about no time to die.
Yeah, just imagine a much.
Oh, it was
slower...
the Billie Eilish one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it more than I'd care to admit, but it's still probably not the best of the Craig intro songs to me.
Definitely not the best, but
yeah, it's definitely a solid like 3, like number 3 probably. I didn't care for
where I ranked it.
Yeah, I didn't really care for the intro song to Quantum, mainly because I haven't listened to it as much, and Spectre is poop, and then like This is probably like a hot take, but I actually hate the oh no, I actually don't hate the Radiohead Spectre song the most. I like it better than the Sam Smith one that they actually used, but I don't like it more than the Quantum one. It's just a really freaking weird song.
I definitely got hit with the olds rewatching. I got hit with the olds rewatching Skyfall because I was like, oh yeah, Adele. I forgot she existed. Is she still popular? No, she's old now.
Yeah, I think she's trying, like, making a comeback or something, but I wouldn't know any of her new songs.
Yeah,
I think you're right, Connor. I think she's got like a new album this year or something.
All I know is she lost a lot of weight, and it pissed a lot of people off for some reason, because people are stupid.
They also got really pissed off when she said the best thing she's ever done was be a mom.
Ooh, that's edgy.
Yep.
It's
How
edgy these
dare
days.
you enjoy being a mother?
Yeah, how dare you enjoy something that I can't do because I'm a man? Yeah, Skyfall's gonna be 10 years old this year. That's kind of mind-blowing.
Holy hell!
Yeah, so will Avengers. Yeah,
it's time to exit game. I'm too old.
All right. Well, before we all die of old age, should we do our final segment real quick?
Our final segments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, let's go into it.
Oh
All
man,
right,
I'm ready for these.
Biggest surprises. These are going to be kind of mild, but I don't know. Unless you got something crazy, Rob. Hit me.
Oh, shoot. Probably biggest surprise for me, the Quake remake was obviously up there.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
Invincible came out of nowhere, because it's freaking Invincible, man. Like, I used to always see pictures of him, and I'm like, that must be the gayest superhero ever. But no, it's actually really good.
That title still belongs to... Oh, I was going to say something edgy, but I couldn't think of anything. Your mom.
Yeah, it doesn't belong to Betty White anymore.
Oh, man.
There you go. There's
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy crap. And Bob Saget. And Norm Macdonald.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell?
Bad year to be alive, I guess.
Stop. We just talked about getting old and dying.
Okay, well, let's alleviate it. Okay, so probably my top biggest surprise for the year was the Castlevania Advance Collection. Mainly because, well, it's Konami doing something that actually seems good for once. And, like, I had heard that they had lost a lot of their, like, old, like, assets. Or, like, the... whatever you call it, like, the main files for, like, their games. Like, in one of the... earthquakes in the past, like, couple of decades. But that might have just been artwork that they lost. I'm not sure. But still, this came out of nowhere, and I think it's kind of neat, especially since they, like, updated all the audio and stuff.
Yeah, no, that's really cool if they did that.
Yeah, I bought it, but I haven't played it yet. And I probably will buy it again because Limited Run will probably do a physical copy of it for the Switch. And those, like, collector's editions are always neat, so hopefully they do something really cool for this one. So that'll probably be like a year or two out from now. And then also, a lot of like interesting things happened with fighting games this year. Like a lot of SNK's like older games on Steam got netcode updates. Like King of Fighters 98 and 2002.
Yeah.
Which is really weird because like those have been out for probably close to 10 years now, and they're just going back and updating the netcode. One of the Guilty Gear games, one of the older Guilty Gear games, also got a netcode update. Skullgirls is getting new DLC, which I guess is supposed to replace them getting a sequel, like the game getting a sequel. And I guess they're like, oh, you know, we got enough people who own the base game, we might as well not try to make a full-on sequel if it's just going to be, you know, the new game with just a couple more added characters. Let's just make DLC.
Interesting.
And also, I guess the new King of Fighters kind of surprised me because the graphics didn't look like shit. Or as much like shit. Yeah. When 14 came out, like, that had borderline, like, PS2 graphics, and it was awful.
Samurai Minecraft has destroyed this generation.
No. That's a graphical style. It's not actually shitty graphics.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. It's gonna age surprisingly well. That'll be Notch's last laugh. Maybe.
Did you guys see the Doom Eternal mod for Minecraft that released this week?
I know it's been released, but I haven't seen anything of it. Can you do glory kills?
It's like Doom Eternal, but all the AI is retarded. Is what the trailer looked like to me. Like, he's running around and jumping and doing quick swapping and stuff, and there's these slow-moving blocky things just walking in straight lines towards him.
That's funny.
Okay, Greg, what is your biggest surprise of the year?
Biggest surprise. Quake caught me off guard, like you guys said. No Time to Die was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Wanda Vision was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I was absolutely unexcited. Like, had no interest in that show. Finally started it halfway through the run because everybody kept telling me how good it was, and then I really enjoyed it. The new Killers album, wasn't expecting a new album from them, and wasn't expecting it to be very good, and I was wrong on both counts. That's probably my biggest surprises.
Alright.
Okay, so now, guess what? We are going into biggest disappointments. Let me just kind of lead with like a really general thing. I'm not going to go in depth with this, but like American comics, like, it was a big disappointment this past year. Actually, I didn't even have any expectations for them. I just kind of want to laugh at them because they got their asses absolutely handed to them by manga. Like, I don't know if it was 2019 or 2020, but the numbers were rough. Like, I think the one manga, Demon Slayer, outsold the entire, like, American comic book industry in whatever year those numbers came from. So, they need to clean house and actually start writing stuff people want to buy/read. If they want to compete, which I think they're going to need. It's going to be a couple years before they're able to do that. They're not admitting defeat.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want to go in depth in that. You can find 1,000 other videos on YouTube covering that topic. Most of them probably from the same people, but, you know.
Alright, let me go.
Alright, you're in.
I really did not like Black Widow. And I know that's not really a hot take or anything, but I don't think people realize how much I really did not enjoy that movie.
It sucked.
I didn't see it in theaters. I waited for it to come out on Disney Plus, so I had already heard everyone say all these bad things about it. And I watched it, and it still left me mad. Like, it's frustrating that, like, you know, because the commercial for this movie came out in, like, what, 2019? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't get that you could screw up a Black Widow movie that bad. Like, ugh.
Well, I mean, I already told you this, Robbie. It is like 5 years too late.
Yeah,
for the film.
Jeez. Like, everyone says Eternals is worst. I haven't seen Eternals, but...
I'm getting there.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I don't know. I don't think Eternals will be able to make me as mad as Black Widow did, because, what it just... Like, the jokes just all fell flat. There wasn't, like, a single good joke in that movie. Any lore they added to it was just incredibly lame. You know how they always talk about, they're like, oh yeah, back in... What country is it? I forget. They always mention some country that had a crazy mission
Budapest.
Yeah, on Budapest. You know what they did in Budapest? They drove up in a car and then clicked a button and then did some Sony After Effects on a window that you can see. They blew up a building off screen. Like, just...
And then they hid it in an air vent for 3 months.
Yeah, hidden an air vent for 3 months. That's cool. Thank you for elaborating. It's barely even a Black Widow movie. She doesn't even feel like the main character. She feels like she wants... Look, I'm just going to say it, okay? Quantum of Solace is far from a perfect movie, but that's just what I wanted. Just make Quantum of Solace, but replace Daniel Craig with Scarlett Johansson. And there you have it. A movie that I can watch and not go, ooh, I want to scrub my eyes.
Every compelling idea they had for that movie is completely wasted in it, too.
Yeah.
I was really excited for the fight between the Red Guardian and Taskmaster, where you've got a super soldier versus the peak of human fighting capability, right? As a fight choreography, from a fight choreography standpoint, you could do something incredible with that, right? They do nothing. It's like a 30-second fight, and he tricks her into locking herself in a room.
Oh yeah, isn't Taskmaster a woman in Black Widow? Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
I do, however, have an issue with the costume because it just looks so lame.
I think a guy did most of the stunts, from what I hear. So it's obvious that it's a guy in some of the scenes, but then when the helmet comes off, it's a lady. All right.
It also suffers from Wonder Woman phenomena, where the climax of the movie is the superhero having a rousing intellectual discussion with the villain. And by rousing and intellectual, I mean poorly written and cliche. But it's just like them yelling their ideals at each other.
Literally the worst Marvel villain. I'm just saying it. There's every...
just wait, Robbie.
All right, Greg, you're getting tapped in. Come on.
Eternals. What a bad movie. But first, I'm actually going to talk about a much bigger disappointment.
Okay.
This year is the 30th anniversary of one of the most, if not the most, at least in the alt-rock scene, influential album of all time. Achtung Baby.
Holy shit. I should have... damn. Well, we didn't do it.
Do you know what you two did for it?
What?
I don't want to know.
Nothing!
Hey, at least they didn't sell a bunch of NFTs.
Well, they pulled a Konami, but without pulling a Konami.
They opened an art exhibit that was like a single room with the car that's painted that they used on the singles. And they released a YouTube video talking about the 3 music videos for the song One. And then they did re-release it on vinyl, and they did a digital box set that had all the songs from the 20th anniversary that weren't available to purchase since then. But like, no new content, no live, like, the Zoo TV tour is considered the most influential concert tour of all time. They didn't release anything from it. There's...
I would kill to get the version of Love is Blindness from Zoo TV on vinyl.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not kill, but yeah, that is that is the best version of that song. It's better than the album version.
Having spent an undue amount of my life listening to like bootleg recordings from that tour, there's much better performances of that song during that tour as well, but the audio quality's not as good because it's not official. But we know that U2 recorded every single concert of that tour. They've got it in a vault somewhere.
Someone needs to pull a kindergarten on them or whatever.
Yeah.
Or working tapes.
And they didn't re-release Kindergarten.
Did that actually get an official release?
Kindergarten did. The working tapes never did.
Yeah, I know. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Kindergarten was part of the Uber box set for the 20th anniversary, which was like really expensive. But anyway, so just they didn't do anything. That's so sad. The 30th anniversary for Joshua Tree, they did a tour and they re-released a previously unreleased concert. That's pretty cool. They didn't do anything this time. Anyway, Eternals. Eternals wasn't as disappointing as maybe Black Widow because I wasn't expecting much going in. But it just fails on every level to be a movie And it's weird. It's my least favorite Marvel movie. It doesn't make, like, Iron Man 3 I hate. There's just stuff in there that I hate. Eternals failed to elicit a strong emotion from me in its entire 6.5 hour runtime. Like,
what is the runtime actually? If it's over 2 hours, that would be a definite.
It's 2.5 hours.
Sweet shit.
The Eternals in the comics are these super crazy, weird, cosmic characters, and then they try to make it into an interpersonal drama. It doesn't translate very well.
And the thing, and like, I've told you this and Robbie before. It's like one of the most Jack Kirby like Marvel comic runs, and they made it completely un-Jack Kirby, like especially from like a visual standpoint.
All the characters are underdeveloped, and yet we spend way too much time trying to develop them somehow. They managed both. I'm gonna go full spoilers here. Is that okay?
Oh, that's perfectly fine.
Sure.
I'm never watching this.
So it turns out that the Celestials are evil, and that Earth is a giant egg, and they're using it to grow a Celestial. And they need the population of the Earth to be a certain amount for reasons before the egg can hatch, and it's hit that. That's why... And so the Eternals are only there to interfere to stop the Deviants from killing people, because they need the population to grow. But they don't care if, like, Thanos kills half the people, which is actually a bigger problem than if these weird CGI monsters do it. So it turns out the Deviants were also created by the Eternals, or by the Celestials, to wipe out predators, is what they said. But then after they'd wipe out the predators, they start wiping out the intelligent life, and that's why they're a problem. Okay, cool. Why are they on Earth? Because you've been doing this for millennia. Or millions of years, even. Why did you put them on Earth? There's no reason for them to be there. When they find this out, most of them are like, okay, well, we've got to not destroy Earth. And there's one guy who's like, nah, we're going to destroy Earth. And he's Icarus. He's like the main one in the comics, and they make him the bad guy in this movie. And to be fair, it is really cool when they punch him. I liked them punching him a lot. But anyway, so the main one, Cersei, she can like change material from one thing to another by touching it, but not if it's alive. But then halfway through the movie, she starts being able to do it to stuff that's alive because they need her to. And then at the end of the movie, when the Celestial starts breaking out of the Earth, they're like, you need to turn it to stone. And she's like, I don't think I can do that. And they're like, we need you to do that. And she's like, okay, I can do it. And then she does it. And they're on its finger, and its finger is massive. It's like the size of a mountain, right? And you can see its head coming out of the ocean in the distance. And they kill it, but like billions are dead. If a head that big popped out of the ocean, billions would die. And it's just okay. It's not a big deal. Nobody's worried about it. And then
you think anybody saw that?
At
I
the
think
end of the
we're
movie,
good.
Yep, the head Celestial shows up, and he's like, you didn't destroy the Earth, so now we're gonna take you guys away and review your memories to see if the Earth is worthy of existing. Because that's what they do in the comics. They like, watch planets and judge whether or not they're worthy of existence, and if not, they end it. But that doesn't make sense in this movie, because that's not what they do with planets. So why do they care if Earth is worthy of living? They don't want it to live. They want it to be an egg. But now they do care. And so he flies away with them, and then the dude from One Direction shows up with the worst CGI troll I've ever seen, played by Patton Oswalt. And they're like, we're here for the sequel. And then Marvel's like, yeah, this movie's not getting a sequel. And then Kit Harington from Game of Thrones is in it. And he's playing, I forget his name, like the character's name, but he's the Black Knight in Marvel Comics, which is a character they've never figured out what to do with in the comic books. And they didn't know what to do with him in this movie either. He's just there to be set up, and he's like the main dude's girlfriend. He's in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and he's like, could you turn me into a giraffe? And she's like, no. And he's like, oh, I always wanted to be a giraffe. And then he's not in the rest of the movie. And then he shows up at the end, and he's like, could you turn me into a giraffe now? And she's like, no, not anymore. I can't transform living things again. I lost that ability because the plot doesn't need it anymore. And he's like, oh, okay. Always wanted to be a giraffe. And then we get an after credit scene where he finds a sword. And like, sweet, I can't wait for that movie. But the dude with a sword who wants to be a giraffe.
The game is on.
It was bad.
Holy crap. Okay.
Yep.
So I kind of have 3 things in quick succession. 2 of them are kind of small. It's one thing that's kind of depressing me more than disappointing me is the like trend towards like streaming. You know, moving away from physical media even further.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because, you know, a lot of... Well, even, like, moving away from, like, you know, going into theaters and stuff.
Yeah, to be fair, there is a pandemic, but...
Yeah, but, like, I don't know if, I think they'll still, like, be streaming movies on Disney, Plus, even when, you know, they have movies on theaters.
I don't think they will, actually. HBO Max flopped hardcore this year, because they pushed all their movies to that, expecting... that to get everybody to sign up for their streaming service. Everybody did, watched Godzilla vs. Kong, and then canceled their subscription. And then none of their movies made any money in the movie theater.
Okay.
And they didn't make any money off HBO Max. It was
Hail to the
bad
king,
for them.
baby.
Disney has been doing it as a case-by-case thing, depending on the movie, which I think is the best solution right now with the pandemic the way it is. I'm pretty sure they're going to go to a regular theatrical release because the pirating aspect of it is just costing them millions. Because once you put it on streaming, people immediately rip it, and then nobody has to pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wouldn't worry about that one too much.
Okay. Well, I guess that's reassuring. But still, you know, I still want to get stuff on DVD and Blu-ray when I can.
Yeah, and that's dying, and that's too bad.
Yeah, that is too bad. And I've, you know, started collecting vinyl in the past couple of years too. That's always been that's been more of a niche thing. Here's another small thing. So no Doom guy in Smash Ultimate. Instead, they made him into a costume for the Mii fighter, which I think is really stupid. Especially since, you know, Smash Ultimate's supposed to be like this big celebration of like the history of video games, and you delegate, you know, a character from one of the most influential video games of all time to just being, you know, a Mii costume.
Yo, but at least he's in it. Like,
I don't know, but they gave the same treatment to what's his name from Undertale, Sans. I mean, like the same treatment as a character from a cringy indie RPG.
Hey, don't hate on Undertale, dude. That is the greatest RPG that I've considered playing.
That sounds about right.
Wrong. It's Knights of the Old Republic.
I don't know. I would have
liked to... considered playing that. You're right.
I weirdly have too, and Undertale. But I don't know. I would have liked to have seen them like try to make like a Doom guy character, or maybe even a Ranger, because, you know, there really aren't any like American video game characters as like playable.
Yeah.
Which is strange. Like, I think the only like Western ones are Banjo-Kazooie and Steve from Minecraft. All the rest are Japanese.
Come on, Nintendo, give the Westerners their due.
I'm just mad there weren't more Fire Emblem characters.
Oh, shut up.
That's the one. That's the other big thing. It's like there's 1,001 friggin' Fire Emblem characters, and, you know. Yeah.
I don't know a ton about Fire Emblem, but I know I had a roommate who bought the newest one a couple of years ago, and it's a dating sim. That's all it was.
See, I heard about it a few years ago when people were explaining it to me. They're like, yeah, it's like a board game and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. Like, it kind of reminded me of some of the Flash games I used to play as a kid. And my sister plays it a lot, and it is a dating sim.
I thought it was supposed to be some sort of like turn-based strategy game.
Well, it is, but the newest one has a lot of dating in between where
I was gonna say, my roommate kept telling me there was a lot of turn-based fighting, but all I saw was him playing a dating sim.
Oh my. Okay, so the real meat of my disappointment for this year... Crap, Robbie, did we mention Castlevania Season 4 when we mentioned shows? I don't think we did.
I thought we said it was good, though.
Yeah. No, it's not... So it's not Season 4 itself that is the disappointment for me. I thought it was pretty good, especially considering how disappointed I was with Season 3. But it's more or less the trajectory that the Castlevania Netflix series is taking. Especially with the announcement about the Rondo of Blood series that's coming out either this year or next year. Particularly the like how it's set during the French Revolution. Like, they're making it sound like that's going to be like a big part of the story, and to me that just, I don't know, they're like overcomplicating something that should be very, very simple. And I think that was the big problem that seasons 3 and seasons 4 had with the the Dracula's Curse story arc. It's like they introduced too many characters, too many subplots. They don't really develop all of them that well.
And they just don't really go anywhere in the end. Yeah. I see that.
Yeah, so that's a concern for me. I also hope they don't, extend it out too much. Like, I think they could have taken seasons 3 and season 4 and just, mashed them down into one season. Like, got rid of all the unnecessary crap and,
yeah, I guess that's
dumb
true.
crap. And, yeah, they could have made one killer season out of 2 sort of ones. One very one, and then one that was, slightly better. I'm just curious who's going to be writing from now on, since Warren Ellis is definitely out.
Have to wait and see.
Yeah. Dokily. Let's move on to the biggest insult.
Biggest insult.
Okay, y'all ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh my.
Oh boy.
Oh my god. So I just went on about how bad Eternals is. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is worse. Oh.
Okay. Well, go on, Greg.
Yeah,
let it all
and
out.
What makes it the worst, besides just the fact that it's bad, is it actually makes other Marvel properties worse. They completely rewrite Sam Wilson as a character and turn him into this single note guy who, look, I'm not going to say that there's not issues with race in America and that there's not a good place, like that fictional media, like that's not a good place to explore them. I think that could have been a really compelling plot line. I don't think it is in this movie. He's just whiny, and he spends the whole time sympathizing with the villain, who is a bad person. And he keeps talking about how she's a good person, but she's not. She's a bad person, and the show seems to think that you think she's a good person because they keep telling you that, but then they just keep showing her do bad things. Bucky, the Winter Soldier half of the title, gets his cool arc set up in the first episode where he's trying to come to terms with all the things he did, like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing, where he remembers every murder he's committed, even though he's not responsible for them, and he's trying to make amends. And you're like, oh, cool, I want to see where this goes. Nowhere. The rest of the show, he sits in a corner until it's his turn to punch something, and then he punches it, and then he goes sits in a corner again. Then in the very last episode, he's like, I'm better now, or something. I don't even know. And then Sharon Carter is brought back from Civil War and Winter Soldier as one of the main characters. And the whole show, they're talking about this villain called the Power Broker, which is a villain from the comics, and you don't know who they are. And as the show kept going on, I'm like, it's Sharon Carter, isn't it? And I'm like, it better not be Sharon Carter. That would be the dumbest plot twist I've ever seen. But it can't be anybody else at this point. They're clearly setting up for it to be Sharon Carter. And it was. So the character who the only thing we've seen her do is sacrifice herself for the greater good, usually to fight a secret organization. Like, her best scene is in Winter Soldier, where Captain's like, hey, this place has been infiltrated by Hydra. And she stands up to the Hydra guys, and she's like, I don't care if you kill me or what. Like, you guys are the bad guys, and we're going to do the right thing. And then she's like, yeah, I'm actually evil now, and I'm trying to infiltrate the government and set up a secret organization to spy on the government. Kind of exactly like what Hydra was. And so it just completely undermines anything we've ever seen her do as a character. The show is overcrowded because you've got those three plots. You've got the plot with the bad guys. You've got Baron Zemo in there. You've got the new Captain America in there. The Wakandans are all throughout the show for no reason. And so it's got all these different plot points that you're trying to follow. And they're crammed and they're rushed and they're not developed. But at the same time, the whole show's boring. Like, nothing's happening the whole show. Oh. It's bad. And not only is it bad, it's the worst Marvel thing to date, except maybe Inhumans, which I haven't watched.
Inhumans is hilarious, so...
This might have been worse than Iron Fist. Iron Fish, that's what I'm calling it from now on. And I still hate myself for watching Iron Fist. Oh. But yeah, it was bad. And after Wanda Vision, which was like a weird premise, and then they did a really good job with it, what should have been a really strong, surefire premise was just completely ruined.
You know, I saw a 5-second clip from like the Netflix like home screen for Iron Fist, and when I woke up in the hospital, they told me that I'd been in a coma for like 2 months.
Yeah, that was
concerning. The 2 months you were in the coma are shorter than the 13 hours it takes to sit and watch that show. So,
okay. Yeah.
Alright, I'll do my biggest insult. So, I'm not really a big Mountain Dew drinker, but I do pick up on things. And I don't know what Mountain Dew was thinking this year with the flavors they came out with. So I made a list, okay? Here's the worst Mountain Dew flavors of the year. This isn't in any particular order. It is. Okay, number 1, gingerbread. Number 6, gingerbread man. Nobody wants to drink a gingerbread man soda. Duh. Number 4, Juju Mystery Edition. Now, it's actually called Voodoo. It's a Halloween thing. But if you look at the logo, the V looks more like a J. And every time I look at it, I say Juju. Pretty stupid.
Wait, but did you drink it?
No, I didn't drink it.
Horrendous. Awful.
Okay,
that is the worst tasting soda I've ever had in my life.
What is it? There was 2 new Baja Blast flavors, and they actually weren't bad, but I always make fun of Baja Blast because I think it's stupid. They released a limited edition version of Code Red Mountain Dew that had Protector of the Universe and Children Gamera, the space turtle, on it. Don't put Gamera on stuff. Keep him away from Mountain Dew, okay?
What the hell?
This would be my number 1 pick, but there's a weirder one. Major Melon. It's like an awful watermelon flavor. And the art they have on the bottle is hilariously bad. It looks like something an edgy 9-year-old would draw. Like, it's just these watermelons with army hats. It's stupid. The number 1 worst Mountain Dew flavor, Flaming Hot Cheetos flavor. I thought this was a joke. I haven't seen it in person, but apparently it was real. So, Mountain Dew, please stop doing cocaine. That's all I have to say.
The 80s are over. Cut your mullet and stop doing cocaine.
Yeah, I think the only 2 new Mountain Dew flavors I tried this past year were Spark. Well, actually, the zero version of Spark, and then the regular, and it was all right.
Yeah, I heard that one's supposed to be good.
Yeah, it's just raspberry lemonade. It's
Mm-hmm.
nothing crazy. And of course, the regular version's better because I tried the zero version first. And it's like, oh, this is okay. Then, I tried the regular, and it's like, oh, okay, there's the flavor. Yeah.
I've got this weird relationship with Mountain Dew, where half the time when I drink it, it tastes incredible, and the other half of the time, it tastes like drain cleaner. And the problem probably lies with me, but I have a hard time drinking Mountain Dew for that reason. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome, and then it's very, very bad.
You might have what I have with cilantro, because I know there's this,
I don't have an issue with cilantro.
Okay, but no, like, this is the example I have, because I know with cilantro, it's like a genetic thing where it either tastes okay to you or it tastes like horrendously bad. And I think I'm kind of in the middle, because sometimes it tastes fine to me, and then other times it tastes like dish soap.
Oh, interesting.
So maybe you have that, but with Mountain Dew.
I think I
do have that
Monster,
with
except
cucumber.
It just always tastes bad.
I can't eat cucumber. It tastes like watermelon rind to me.
If somebody's chopping a cucumber up and I'm in the same room, I have to leave. I hate cucumber. And it's the same thing. It's a genetic something.
Okay, well, that's weird, because I think all my family's fine with cucumber, but I'm not. It's just, ugh. Yeah, it tastes like watermelon rind.
Uh-huh. Well, my parents are
Smells
fine
like
with
it.
cucumber, but my great aunt had the same issue that I do, and my sister does now too. But
Oh, that's weird.
yep.
All right, Connor, it's your turn. What's the biggest insult?
Okay. So the biggest insult for me is Santa Inc. Have either of you heard of?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't
So
subjected myself to it, but I've seen the
I
ads.
did not watch it because, for one, I don't want to give those sons of bitches any money. Two, well, because when you get insulted in the trailer, it kind of makes you not want to watch, the thing that it's trying to advertise. But all the like really shitty writing and like just like bad faith writing aside, like it just looks like shit. Like the animation, like the art style of the animation looks like shit. And I don't know why people like that was the one thing people would concede. It's like, oh, this has like horrible writing with completely unlikable characters, and the plot line is just terrible, but like the animation looks fine, and I wouldn't even give them that. It looks like garbage. Like, have either of you heard of Glenn Martin DDS?
No.
No.
Okay. Well, it was made by the guy who or it was animated by the guy who did Celebrity Deathmatch on MTV.
Oh wow.
It has a pretty shitty claymation or stop motion art style. This is what that reminds me of. Like most like modern stop motion stuff reminds me of Glenn Martin DDS. And when things remind you of Glenn Martin DDS, you know you're not going in a good direction. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like if they had been like, I don't know, like there's a lot of stuff that went wrong with that. I don't really want to get into detail with it because, again, there's probably other people that actually watched it for some reason and can actually comment on what the show was about, but I'm just kind of looking at it from the outside, and it's like, I don't know who thought this was a good idea, especially since Christmas is like one of the most awesome holidays that exists.
And
Actually is
the
the
idea
most
of
awesome
like
holiday.
a stop motion holiday comedy, like a modern one, is kind of a fun idea. Like there's the Community episode where it's all claymation because it's Christmas and stuff like that. Like it's a fun idea, but it's just completely wasted.
Yeah, and it's like they don't even try to like emulate like the old Rankin Bass like art style or like set design that well either. Like Elf did a much better job of that, and that's like almost 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell? And then like, yeah, all the mean-spiritedness of it, like they just want to shit on Christmas and the whole concept of Santa, which, I mean, I guess Santa's like a children's character, but still.
Yeah,
what
but
a bunch of assholes.
It's got animated, like, claymation animated elf nudity in it. Isn't that everything you want in your life, Connor?
That is everything I want in my life, Greg. And it's also got freaking, Seth Rogen, professional retard. Yeah. When was he last funny? I don't know. Well, it's also got Sarah Silverman. I mean, who's funnier than her, except dudes.
Whoa. Oh.
Yeah, that another shout out to Norm Macdonald for saying that. Rest in peace. But yeah, it's like this just seems like no, like a big no. And that's where I'm gonna end that. Holy crap, we forgot to talk about Ancient Gods Part 2.
It was easy. I don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it because it's Doom Eternal. I think some of the new features they put in was great. But I was literally like sweating, loading it up, being like, oh no, how bad is my butthole gonna get ripped open by this game? And then I played it and I was like, oh, this is nice. This is good. This is a nice little break. But the next level, that's where I'm gonna get murdered. And then it was pretty easy as well. And then I got to the final level and I was like, oh, I guess this is just how it is. Then I get to the boss fight. I'm like, okay, I've heard things about the boss fight. Well, the boss fight's broken into 3 sections. The first 2 sections are probably easier than anything in Doom Eternal. Like, it's ridiculously easy. What did I say? I was like, this is supposed to be the Dark Lord, more like the Dark Bitch. And then you get to the final section, which isn't hard per se, but it's tedious. And it relies a lot on RNG, and the RNG is not usually in your favor. And after about an hour of playing that and just not being able to do it right, I had to just said screw it, and I turned it down to baby mode, and then I was finally able to beat it, which it still took me like an hour, and that was on 1 Live. But then we're rewarded with the awesome cutscene that said, oh yeah, Doom Guy's dead, and so are all the demons. There's no more Doom games. This is the last one. Oh, and the Doom Guy talks, and he doesn't say rip and tear, which is too bad. So yeah, all around, it was disappointing. Like, that wasn't cool. And like, I guess no Doom Eternal 2, which I didn't really expect, but still, it's still sad to see that they're not going to do that,
Yeah. It's like, I would have gone at it from like a story standpoint. It just seems like they had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah.
Like, even like the base game was written kind of
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you look at it a certain way, it can be like seen as sort of like maybe not self-deprecating. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Like something you don't take as too seriously.
Yeah.
But and then when they get into Ancient Gods Part 1 and you start reading the little like logs, it's like, oh, this is how it actually is and stuff, and it's like, come on, man. 4 people wrote this.
Yeah, it's like every update to that franchise, they completely throw out the established lore and make up new lore. And then they're like, no, that's what it was the whole time.
And you still don't get to drive a mech
in my heart,
which I expected to,
Yeah, that was disappointing.
I've been disappointed about that twice now.
Yeah, that's why if they ever remake Quake, they just do what you did for Doom 2016, where the story's there but it's in the background. Don't try to turn this whole like do a bunch of lore and stuff. It just clutters everything. Just like focus on the gameplay, because that's always been its strength. Like, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
If we could have gotten Doom 2016 with Doom Eternal with 2016's art style, but Eternal's demons, I think that would have been perfect. Eternal leans a bit more into the cartoony stuff, whereas Doom 2016 was like this perfect amalgamation of the gameplay of the classics, but the atmosphere of Doom 3.
Yeah.
And they threw that atmosphere out in Doom Eternal, which I was fine with, and I still am. But I feel like as the story gets dumber and dumber, it gets harder and harder to ignore the other cartoony stuff in the game.
Yeah.
Doom 2016 was taking itself seriously without taking the story seriously. Doom Eternal doesn't take itself seriously while taking the story seriously.
Yeah, but I don't know, even if they had that like really like serious and like grim atmosphere and they still had the same level of writing that Doom Eternal and the Ancient Gods had, like I think it still would have stuck. It might have even stuck out more.
Yeah, no, sorry. I also meant to add the storytelling of 2016.
Okay. Yeah, because especially with like the disregard for like all the exposition and like pretty much everything being in first person. Like that's what they needed. Like not all these. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's like when they had like story trailers for Doom Eternal. It's like, oh yeah.
And the story wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Like, even the Ancient Gods Part 2, it isn't completely up in your face. I mean, like, the last level kind of is, but the first two are fine.
Yeah. It's just, I think they, like... I think they tried too hard. That's what it was. And then they just kind of ran out of steam. They were, like, really into it in the beginning, and then it just kind of... Yeah. That's how I'd sum that up. So yeah, I guess it's not really... It's more of a disappointment than a insult. Because of course, that can be more insulting than Santa Inc. or Falcon and Winter Soldier and all the Mountain Dew flavors from this past year.
Yeah.
Especially those Mountain Dew flavors. Like, I wanted to try the Flaming Hot Cheetos one. I
kind of do
didn't
as well.
actually... Is it still around, though?
Like I said, I've never seen it. Like, I don't know. I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah. I only heard about it from a YouTuber called Bren Daniel. Like, because he does reviews on all these weird Mountain Dew flavors when they come out. But
I do need to go, gents. But can we... Do we want to jump to the plans for 2022 really quick? Just do it in 5 minutes.
Oh crap! I forgot about that.
Yeah, sure. We can do that in 5 minutes.
Yep, let's rocket that out real quick.
All right.
So let's
you guys go first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't really have to do an intro for this. Okay, so for me, I kind of want to like start doing more like personal videos where it's just me. My problem right now is that I need to get a new video editor, because the one I have currently is just not the best. I also got a new laptop, so I gotta find something that'll put on that. And yeah. And part of the thing is, like, I will like write out like either outlines or like scripts, but then I never get around to actually recording it, because you know, part of it is actually having time to do it, which I don't always have. But I was able to get that one video out this past year, the Resident Evil Kickstarter one, and that actually didn't do terribly. But I don't know, I kind of want to maybe do something like that each month, but maybe on a more maybe on like Castlevania or Doom, something that people would expect from us, not something random like that, unless, I don't know, unless that's just a bonus video I decide to do.
Yeah, and I think I should make another Star Wars video, because the Clone Wars video is currently the most watched video on our channel. Like, I don't think it has the most views, but like if you just look week by week, it's getting more views. It's always number one, so I should do another Star Wars one, because I've wanted to. I wanted to do one on the Bad Batch, and I want to do one on the Mandalorian and stuff like that, so
yeah,
I should try to do another big Star Wars video.
Yep, and we also need to finish off Uzumaki.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We got Volume 3 to finish on that, and I also would like to do another Worst of Junji Ito video, but this time I would like to cover Tomie. Maybe just look at those stories. I'd either have to let you borrow it or you'd have to pick that up, Robbie.
Yeah.
Or I'd just give you the names of the stories and you can go and find them. Cause yeah, there's quite a bit to talk about there.
All right, what are your plans, Greg?
So I recently got back into modding Doom. I'm working on a Megawad that I don't expect to have done for a long time, but I'm hoping to have the first episode or two out in March for people to play on the internet and comment on and tell me like where it needs improvement, because I'm under no illusion that this is going to be very strong. You know, I'm new to this stuff. I have spent a lot of time analyzing other people's stuff and what makes it good and what makes things bad, and so I feel like I've got a solid grasp on it. But you know, every time I've submitted a level and gotten feedback, I've been like, okay, yeah, this is a better product as a result. So I'm looking forward to that. I'd love it if you guys would try it out and do a review for it on your podcast when that release happens. You know, get some attention from the 10 people who listen to your podcast.
Hey, we'd get more frequently if you'd leave likes on our videos, Greg.
I do leave likes on your videos, I thought. Maybe I don't. Okay.
I don't know. Like, I don't know.
But anyway, and then the other big
like
plan for
crap.
Yeah. The other big plan for 2022 is that my wife and I are having a baby also in March. Which is why that's kind of the deadline for getting those episodes out. And so that is very, very exciting. Gonna be a dad. It's what I've always wanted. Looking forward to never being able to sleep again. So.
No, you've never really slept. What I know. At least
I
not
do
in high
sleep
school.
now, but
yeah, now that he's married, I'm sure he sleeps all the time.
Oh.
Yeah, I've had like a year where I've actually had a consistent sleep schedule. It's been weird.
Does weird things to you.
Yeah. I'm not
Especially when you
angry
get
all
up
the time.
at the same time.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah.
Oh yeah, real quick on that Doom thing. I've also kind of wanted to get back into Doom mapping. So if any time, Greg, you want to do like a quick, like maybe 10-minute podcast on like, you know, our mapping ideas or whatnot, just let me know.
Oh yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Just as something quick to get out. But yeah, like I'm really new to mapping as well. I have some basic ideas on what I want to do. It's kind of more or less like things that seem appealing to me, but I don't know how well they would translate into actual maps and if other people would actually like them or not. So yeah. Feedback process would be nice to see, but I don't know. I guess we'll start with yours, since you actually have maps ready, or you will have maps ready much faster than I will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm about halfway done with the first episode, I think.
Okay. How many maps will that be?
6 maps.
Okay.
And I'll probably have 1 or 2 from the second episode tagged on there too, because E2M1 is actually about halfway done as well. So.
Okay. All right. So that has been this has been a like 5-hour podcast.
Yeah, I think this is the longest one we've done.
Oh yeah. So what I think we're gonna have to do with these is break them up by segment.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want anyone to have to sit through 5 hours of this. So yeah, we'll just do by topic, and then maybe if there's an interesting like segment that we have randomly in there, we'll make that a video of its own.
Yep. All right.
Alrighty.
Well, that's 2021 to recap. What a crazy year.
Yeah.
Make sure to like. I'm talking to you, Greg. All right. Let's make 2022 just as good, if not better. I'm Robbie, and I am signing off.
Yep, this is Connor, and we also have Greg. Thanks for joining, Greg.
Absolutely. Love being here.
All right. Till next time. Bam, bam.
Bam.